Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris, I'm your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Episode 227 today, and we're talking about a topic which has kind of arisen from, I've just seen some chatter and from people's conversations that I've had, and I've realized that they've created this mindset which is, limiting their ability to actually grow. And the whole topic today is limiting belief, and where there's this myth around that people think growth is external and not internal. But the reality is growth isn't just about doing more. It's actually about becoming more. It's about becoming a better version of ourselves, right? Hence the conversation of further your lifestyle. And, it's not about that you need to have the new tool or you need to have the perfect mentor or the best opportunity. You need to just have a new internal standard and what you want for you. And that's really what we're talking about today. It's going to probably get a little bit deep, and a lot of people aren't going to want to hear it because simply it's going to be the truth that, it's going to make you uncomfortable. And it's stuff which you're going to have to deal with if you want to see, the breakthroughs, or if you want to see the progress or the growth that you've been always wanting. When a lot of the time the growth doesn't come on the reliance of someone else, the growth comes on the reliance of yourself being proactive and taking on new opportunities and believing in yourself that you can actually make these things happen. So that's what we're talking about today. Get cozy, get comfortable. We're going to roll the intro. And of course, if you do enjoy these episodes, please make sure you like, subscribe, and most of all, please share it with someone else. Let's get into it. So this is what belief sounds like. If I just had X, then I could grow. Or once they notice me, I'll level up. I need to wait until the conditions are right. Now, all of those, and, be honest, have you heard of these before? Have you said these before? And I'll say it again. If I just had this, then I'll be able to grow. Or once people, start seeing me, I'll be able to level up. Or I just need to wait till the time is right or the conditions are right. All of these push the power away from you and put it onto someone else. It puts the responsibility onto someone else, and it pushes that power outside of yourself. This is where it's wrong. Internal growth is the root of how external growth actually flourishes and blooms and grows, right? So whether it's your business, whether it's your career, whether it's your relationships, anything that you're doing in life, none of that stuff is going to outgrow your identity. You are that. Right? What you do builds your business. What you do builds your career. What you do impacts, the people around you. So it's going to come down to your mindset. It's going to come down to self-trust. It's going to come down to self-concept. It's basically whatever is your internal engine, whatever it is that keeps you ticking. And a lot of the time, I spoke about this in one of my Get Wide podcasts, talking about, we shouldn't get burnt out if we're doing something that is full of purpose and we know where we're going. It's very easy to, get burnt out when you're doing things and you don't understand why you're doing it, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Sometimes could be working that low-end job. Now, I get it. A lot of the time we work jobs because we need the money, but that's a reason to do it. Sometimes we just get stuck in jobs because we're too scared to go face our fears and, go start that new job, or, interview for the new job, or try and go for a promotion, or go work for yourself. But unless you're willing to evolve inwards and become a better version of yourselves, everything around you responds in the same way. So if you're not willing to grow, nothing else around you is willing to grow either. Because, no one's just coming up to you and offering you a chance of a lifetime when you haven't got anything to even suggest that you want that opportunity of a lifetime. Look, sometimes we do get lucky, right? And, but this isn't about luck. I don't want to make it about luck. So how do we expect to see external growth without internal grounding, right? It becomes very dangerous when we have this mindset, because what happens is, as we rely on external forces and not relying on ourselves as a grounded individual, we tend to self-sabotage, right? And I think that's why we like to put the blame on others, because how could we be wrong? But the reality is, when you take ownership of your life, when you take accountability and responsibility of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it, and where you're doing it for, like where are you going, you're able to help it bloom again. But if not, if you're putting the blame on someone else or the expectation on someone else to see you grow, you tend to sabotage it. It's going to get shrunk, and then you're going to feel like a fraud because it's like, oh, this isn't happening. When really, you're not doing anything to even help yourself grow. So the other thing is like we get into this space where we get scared of we're not going to know who we are anymore. And that's where imposter syndrome also sets in, because there's this clash of like, well, this is who I am now. You're going to have to become someone else. And as you start to become someone else, there's other people externally, in this case, most of the time bringing you down because they see that you're rising up and becoming a better version of yourself. But in order to protect themselves, they're going to bring you down because it makes them feel so much better. But in doing so, then you also feel like a fraud. You also feel insecure, and therefore, you don't grow. That's why we should never put our growth on the basis of external factors, simply because those external factors do not have all the information and they know diddly squat, especially if it comes down to people. But when we have our internal grounded, our space, our understanding, our mindset, why we're doing it, all those different things, that's when we can thrive and push through the noise. It's not easy. I'm not saying you'll be able to avoid the noise. You'll just be able to push through it. That's the key part. So growth doesn't necessarily mean scale. Now, this is it's funny. I've spoken about scaling and growth with the business side, but, now we're talking about lifestyle. So external growth is more about, if we think of external perspective, it's a highlight reel. It's what, people define success as, such as more money, more audience, more offers. Generalizing here, but, that's what it probably can be broken down to. Whereas internal growth is more around being a better version of yourself, setting better boundaries, having a better belief understanding, and having better behavior. And this is why, as I've started to grow my business, I'm pushing really hard and growing it. And people say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, well, I'm trying to build the business on the basis that it does not have to rely on me. I don't want to have to do the extra work on the weekends. I don't want to have to do the work after hours, though I am at the moment to get it into the position I want it to be. As the business scales and grows, my internal growth is setting in those boundaries, building the systems, building my understanding, building my mindset and the behavior that this is how the business will operate, on the basis that it does not require me to be in it all the time, and it can grow without us having to work crazy amounts of hours, right? And of course, the external growth, what everyone else sees, is the money, the audience, and the offers, and the followers and all that stuff. So you really got to look at it from that perspective, right? Just because you can earn more money doesn't mean you should do it, right? You got to make sure you understand what your beliefs are, your values, your behavior, why you're doing it, and what boundaries are you putting in as non-negotiables as well. So a couple of questions for you. First one is, what area of your life are you trying to scale without doing the inner work first? You got to really understand why we do things. And, I've been struggling around trying to release some a program that's going to help other people level up. And, it's in relation to Further Your Lifestyle. And I've done one of these in the past, but, I went through some issues of, I guess some self-confidence and tall poppy syndrome and all these different things, and imposter syndrome, because, I'm like, I don't know that that's me, because other people tell me that's not what should be done. And because of that, I get scared of what will people think. So, I've been working through that, of what that looks like, because I want to do it on the basis of not what other people are defining, but on the basis of what I'm confident in sharing, confident in creating, and confident in building, right? And that comes from my inner self. So for you, what area in your life are you trying to scale, but you haven't done the legwork deep inside first? The second question I'll ask is, who do you need to become in order to handle the next level? And it's not about being someone else. It's being a better version of yourself. So that's my question to you. Who do you need to become? What do you need to let go of? What are the things that you need to be doing in your life to get you to that next stage? And then the third thing is, what belief are you holding onto that says more will fix what internal alignment hasn't? Yeah. And this is one of those true things where people say, oh, you just got to do more in order to grow. And technically, in some elements, it does seem like more. But when you've got yourself in a position where you're in flow and you understand why, the more becomes easier. So therefore, it doesn't feel like more in terms of craziness. I have a lot of people say to me, Chris, I don't know how you have, time to do all these things, because you're always so busy. You've got so much going on. And I agree, there is a lot going on. But it's taken me 5 years to get to this because I've built systems, I've put in routines, I've built myself into a confidence level of knowing that, no, I can do this. I don't have to think about it anymore. I go with it. Whereas, I used to overthink. I had to doubt. I had to re-listen to all my podcasts. I had to do all these different things. But when you know what you know and you do it in confidence and you can be comfortable with what's going out, you don't have to think about those little things of what other people are going to be, concerned of. And then you're able to, have speed to market. You're able to process. You're able to do more things with ease. So this is an interesting one. And coming back to the start where I said, I'll do this when people know what I'm doing or whatever, or I just need to have a bit more followers before I can take action. Well, you don't need to be discovered, right? You just need to become. You start building, you start creating, you start doing, and you build the noise and the people will come, right? And it's not about that, I'm out there looking for this next big thing. It's already there. You just haven't unlocked it. You just haven't tapped into it. You haven't been given yourself the permission to make it happen. And there you go. The next point that I'd written down was, you're not waiting for permission. You're waiting for self-alignment, right? You don't need the permission to do it. You just need to get yourself in that right, alignment between your values, what you want, the purpose, the work you're doing, and all those different things. Once you have purpose and your values aligned in why you're doing it and what you're doing it for, it becomes so much easier to just do, opposed to you're not sure why it's happening, why you're doing it, and therefore it becomes naturally a struggle. So a couple of things I would quickly say before we wrap it up, and keeping it short and sweet again this episode, because at the end of the day, we don't need to go on about this. We don't need to harp on it. There's things that we just got to deal with. There's things that you just got to hear. And that's why I just keep pushing these out each week, is because that perspective will give you a fresh perspective to maybe go click and realize, I just got to do this, and give you a little confidence boost. Or if you want to continue the conversation, that's, more than happy to do so in the comments as well. So external growth without the internal foundation is like building a skyscraper on sand. That's essentially what it is, right? You're building your life. You want it to be on a foundation of strong foundations. It's the same thing for my business. People mock me. People laugh at me. People say that it's not worth it because I've been doing business for 4 years or 5 years almost, and it's not getting the results that they would expect a successful business would have. Number one, that success is defined by external factors and their own premise as well. My success is going to be defined on when I'm satisfied, when I'm 100% satisfied. And at the moment, it covers all my needs. It does everything that I need it to do. It just hasn't reached where I believe it can be. And I'm building that foundation. If that foundation takes 10 years, but it means it's perfect for the next 30, then happy days, right? And that's what it takes, right? To be able to understand what it is that you want and do it in confidence. The other thing I'll say is, when you upgrade yourself, when you upgrade your version of you, think of it like an operating system or something. As you do that, your results upgrade to the same level. So with the next level input that you're putting in, you're going to get the next level output as well, right? It's like a video game. When you're level 1000, you're fighting against level 1000 monsters. And when you defeat them, you're getting, higher end loot as well. It's the same concept. It just applies to life. So that's my thoughts on all of this, folks. If you want to continue the conversation, more than happy to jump down into the comments. You can reach out to me on Instagram as well. At the end of the day, we are our own worst enemies. We will limit our ability to thrive because of our own constructs, how we've been brought up, what we think we know, and what we've been doing. But it's very easy to put excuses and blames on external forces when really, if we just suck it up and we just take control of things, there's things that we can't control, right? When we had the pandemic, we could not control what the government did. We had to follow those rules, right? And a good example of this is, I remember training for my second marathon in the middle of the pandemic. And they said, you can't do this. You're not allowed to go outside for more than 2 hours, and you're not allowed to leave your property in a radius of more than 5 kilometers. It's like, how the heck am I going to do my 42K marathon? So I figured it out. I did 2 hours outside of home, and then I did the final 2 hours and 45 minutes in a 360 meter loop around home. And I got it done. Those are the factors I could control. There was external factors which limited the ability of what I could do. But it didn't mean I couldn't still achieve the result I want. And I still did a better marathon than my first marathon. So the point is, it's like, yeah, there's always going to be external things that are limiting our ability to grow. But there's people saying that growth can only come from external factors. It's the opposite. You can level up. You can grow by your internal growth. That's all you got to do is level up internally, build those foundations, make decisions, take ownership, be accountable, be responsible for yourself and what you want. And that is how you're going to see, the lifestyle. That's not how you're going to see you further your lifestyle, essentially. So more than happy to continue the conversation. Appreciate you being here. You have a wonderful day. Cheers.